On a certain evening in October, filled with the scent of autumn, Sophia Blake stood in front of the gate of an elementary school in a small harbor town in Maine. Her simple white blouse and navy skirt were enveloped in the soft light of dusk, creating a somewhat melancholic atmosphere. Sophia was known locally as a popular music instructor, beloved by many students for her gentle demeanor and passionate teaching. The school gate opened, and Sophia's 9-year-old daughter, Maya, burst out. "Mom! Today, my teacher praised the song I made," Maya exclaimed excitedly. At that moment, Sophia's heart was filled with a mix of joy and anxiety. Sophia hugged her daughter gently, but there was a faint caution in her movement. Maya was born with a heart condition that required her to avoid strenuous activities and excitement. It was shortly after Maya was born when Sophia saw the doctor's expression cloud over, as he listened to Maya's tiny chest with a stethoscope. The diagnosis was cruelly clear: congenital heart disease. From that moment, Sophia's world changed drastically. At night, beside Maya's crib, Sophia watched her daughter's sleeping face and quietly shed tears. She couldn't help but feel the fragility of her little life as she watched the baby's chest rise and fall. Each time Sophia saw the estimate for the treatment costs, her heart tightened. The high medical expenses, long-term medication, and regular checkups felt like a heavy burden on their family's future. Days turned to nights, and Sophia's fingers, once used to playing the piano, now tapped on a calculator. Torn between her passion for music and the desire to protect her daughter, Sophia's heart wavered. However, every time she saw Maya's smile, she renewed her resolve to do whatever it took to protect this precious life. It became Sophia's new mission as a mother. "That's wonderful, Maya. Cherish your talent," Sophia said gently, her voice a mix of a mother's joy at her daughter's growth and constant worry for her health. "Hey, Mom, can I play my song at the next recital?" Maya looked up at her mother with hopeful eyes, her gaze sparkling with a pure love for music and a desire to be recognized. Sophia paused, torn between wanting to nurture her daughter's talent and worrying about her health. "Of course, Maya. But don't push yourself too hard." She gently stroked her daughter's cheek. "What kind of song is it? Can you sing it for me?" Maya nodded happily and began to sing the melody in a soft voice. "Oh, how beautiful!" Maya's clear voice and beautiful melody, like an angel singing, attracted the attention of passers-by. As the song ended, a small applause erupted. "That was marvelous, Maya. Thank you." Maya replied with a satisfied smile, which Sophia returned proudly. "You'll surely be a great success at the recital." However, as she spoke, anxiety sprouted in Sophia's heart. Could the stress of the recital affect Maya's health? Sophia and Maya began walking slowly along the promenade by the harbor. The soft light of dusk enveloped them, casting long shadows on the beach. Maya's small hand firmly grasped Sophia's, bringing comfort to her mother's heart. Maya chatted again about her day at school, her voice light and airy with the sea breeze. "I was really happy to be praised today," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. Sophia watched her daughter's joyful expression and smiled gently, stroking Maya's head. "That's wonderful, Maya. Mom is very proud that your talent is recognized." "But, Mom, I'm looking forward to playing in front of everyone at the next recital, but I'm nervous. Can I play as well as I did today?" Sophia stopped and looked directly into her daughter's eyes. "It's okay, Maya. It's natural to feel nervous, and everyone does. But having your music heard is a wonderful thing. Mom is always supporting you. Encouraged by her mother's words, Maya regained her smile. Okay, I'll do my best. They resumed walking, Maya clinging to her mother's arm. Sophia noticed the slight tremble in her daughter's body and naturally slowed her pace. Always mindful of Maya's health condition while feeling the difficulty of watching her daughter grow and become independent. As a Chile seaside breeze blew through, Sophia instinctively pulled Maya closer and wrapped her in her shawl. "Aren't you cold?" she asked gently. Maya shook her head, wrapped in her mother's warmth, and replied, "I'm fine. I'm warm when I'm with Mom." Those words nearly brought tears to Sophia's eyes. She felt the strength of their bond anew, and was confident they could overcome any challenges that lay ahead. As they reached the end of the promenade, Sophia and Maya stopped and gazed at the sea bathed in the sunset. Maya gripped her mother's hand tightly and whispered, "Mom, thank you for always being by my side." Sophia hugged her daughter and responded, "I am truly happy to have you too." Enjoying the pleasant moments with her daughter, Sophia suddenly let out a deep sigh. A certain unease was swirling in her heart, concerning her husband Nathan. Nathan was the president of the largest seafood company in town. But recently, there had been something different about him. Sophia had met Nathan when they were both in their 20s at a local music festival. While Sophia played Chopin's Nocturne on stage, a young man with a particularly bright smile caught her eye in the audience. After the performance, as the applause died down, the young man approached the stage. "That was a wonderful performance," he said, his eyes sparkling. "My name is Nathan. I was completely enchanted by your music," he introduced himself. Sophia, slightly embarrassed, replied, "Thank you. I'm Sophia. Did you enjoy the festival?" "Yes, it was truly wonderful," Nathan responded enthusiastically. "Especially your Chopin, it was moving. It felt like each note had a soul," he added. Sophia was touched by his sincere reaction. "I'm glad to meet someone who understands music so deeply." Nathan smiled shyly. "Actually, I'm not a music expert. I just truly love music." "That is true understanding." Sophia smiled. Their conversation continued, transitioning from music to local topics. Nathan's bright smile and enthusiastic demeanor gradually drew Sophia in. "If it's all right?" Nathan said a bit nervously. "Could we continue this conversation over coffee nearby?" Sophia hesitated for a moment but was moved by his earnest gaze and agreed. "Yes, I'd be delighted." As they walked to the cafe, Nathan passionately discussed the local fishing industry. "There's great potential in this town, combining traditional fishing with new technologies." His passionate speech drew Sophia in. Music and the sea. Their two different worlds began to play a strange harmony. Their eyes met, sparkling with anticipation and joy for the future. Over time, they had many dates in the town's small cafe. Nathan was always cheerful and positive, and his laughter filled the cafe. He spoke passionately about the future of the local fishing industry, capturing Sophia's heart. On the day he proposed, Nathan took Sophia to the lighthouse at the port. Against the backdrop of the sea illuminated by the full moon, he knelt down and presented a ring. "With you, I can weather any storm," he said, words that are still deeply etched in Sophia's heart. After marriage, Nathan's vivacity didn't change. He went to work cheerfully every day. And on weekends, the family would picnic by the seaside. Nathan would run around the beach with Maya, her joyful screams mingling with his laughter. However, in recent months, a shadow had begun to fall over that brightness. Deep lines were etched on Nathan's forehead, and his eyes, once bright, now showed signs of fatigue. His smiles became rare, and he interacted less with the family. Nathan used to talk about work with excitement, but lately, he had been avoiding the topic. He spent more nights secluded in his study, occasionally having secretive phone conversations. Sophia saw his shoulders as if they were carrying a heavy burden and felt a pain in her heart. She had tried to speak to him gently several times, but Nathan would just brush it off with, "I'm fine, don't worry," although his voice lacked its former confidence. At night, as she watched Nathan sleep next to her, Sophia couldn't suppress her anxiety. What was happening to the man she loved? Deep down, she felt a storm was approaching. Lost in thought, Sophia was brought back by Maya's voice. "Mom, is Dad going to be late again?" Her voice held a longing for her father and a sharp sense of something being amiss. Sophia was momentarily at a loss for words, then responded, "Yes, that's right. Dad is busy with work." Despite the swirling anxieties and worries about her husband inside her, "Dad has been angry on the phone a lot lately," Maya said in a small voice. "Is he okay?" Sophia was surprised by her daughter's keen observation but tried to reassure her. "It's okay, Maya. Adults' work has various problems. But Dad will surely solve them," she said. However, as she spoke, Sophia's anxiety grew. Was Nathan really okay? If he was facing a problem, could it be easily resolved? As they walked, they noticed a newly opened restaurant named Ocean's Harvest, with advertisements boasting dishes made with fresh seafood and local ingredients. Sophia paused, a thoughtful expression crossing her face. "Maya, shall we try it out?" Sophia suggested. "I have a good idea." Maya nodded with interest. "Yeah. I want to go." They started walking towards the restaurant. As they entered, they were greeted by warm lighting and a sea-themed interior. Settling into their seats, Maya pointed outside the window. "Mom, look. The fishing boats are coming back." Sophia watched her daughter's happy face and felt a warmth in her heart. However, at the same time, she was plagued by complex feelings about Maya's medical expenses and Nathan's recent behavior. She knew that the town's main industry, fishing, had been declining recently. Sophia couldn't help but wonder if this was related to the change in Nathan's demeanor. As they waited for their meal after ordering, Sophia asked her daughter, "Maya, could you sing the song you made again?" "Just a little bit right here." Maya began to sing in a small, somewhat shy voice. Her clear voice and beautiful melody once again attracted the attention of those around. After the song ended, an elderly woman from a nearby table approached them. "What a beautiful voice," she said. "Are you regulars here?" "It's my first time." Sophia responded with a smile. "No, it's our first time too." That was a lovely singing voice. "Are you taking music lessons?" "Yes. Mom teaches at a music school." "A music school?" the woman asked with interest. "I didn't know there was such a nice place in this town. Could you tell me more about it?" Sophia was happy to start explaining about the music school, and suddenly, an idea struck her. "Actually, I'm thinking of starting a music therapy program for children. I believe in the power of music to heal and connect people." The woman's eyes lit up upon hearing this. "That's a wonderful idea. I'd like my grandchildren to participate. By the way, I'm Elizabeth Fisher. I work at the town's tourism board." "I'm Sophia. This is my daughter, Maya." Sophia and Elizabeth began to have an earnest discussion about the music therapy program. Maya occasionally joined in, suggesting ideas from a child's perspective. Hey, it would be fun if we all created a song together, Maya suggested. A song about people's favorite places and things in the town. Elizabeth remarked impressively. That's a great idea. It could also deepen the bonds among the townspeople. As the conversation was getting lively, Sophia's cell phone rang. It was a call from Nathan. Sophia's heart raced. Recently, calls from Nathan rarely brought good news. Excuse me, I need to take this, Sophia said as she stood up and stepped outside the restaurant. Sophia, listen. Nathan's voice was tense. There's something important we need to discuss tonight. Can you wait for me at home? Despite feeling anxious about her husband's tone, Sophia tried to respond calmly. Understood. Is something wrong? We'll talk at home. Nathan replied shortly and hung up. Sophia sighed as she returned to the restaurant. Elizabeth and Maya noticed the change in her expression. Is something wrong? Elizabeth asked worriedly. Sophia forced a smile and answered. It's okay. Just an urgent call from my husband. Maya looked at her mother with concern. Mom, is something wrong with Dad? Sophia tried to reassure her daughter. Don't worry, Maya. Dad just said he might be able to come home early. However, as she spoke, Sophia's anxiety grew. Nathan's tone of voice didn't indicate good news. Elizabeth, sensing the situation, kindly said, It's important to spend time with family. Let's call it a day. Sophia responded with gratitude. Thank you, Elizabeth. I'd love to talk more another time. Sophia and Maya hurried to pay and began their journey home. As they walked along the seaside road at dusk, Sophia's mind was filled with unease. She couldn't help but wonder what Nathan was about to discuss, and how it would impact their lives. Upon arriving home, the lights in the living room were on, and Nathan had already returned. His expression bore the weight of significant news. Sensing the heavy atmosphere, Sophia took a deep breath and prepared to enter the living room. No matter what was to come, she had to be strong for her family. Sophia didn't yet know that the conversation about to begin would significantly alter their lives. A town-shaking truth and the trials that accompanied it awaited them. As Sophia entered the living room, the tense air enveloped her. Nathan sat uneasily, his eyes harboring an unfamiliar mix of anxiety and resolve. Nathan, what's wrong? Sophia asked tentatively, her voice trembling without her realizing. Maya, sensing the mood, stood anxiously in the corner of the room, clutching her favorite stuffed animal tightly. Nathan took a deep breath and began to speak with a shaky voice. Sophia, Maya, there's something we need to discuss. He paused, struggling to find the right words. There's a problem at the company. Nathan continued, choosing his words carefully. This news will probably go public tomorrow. But it's been discovered that illegal fishing activities have been conducted. Our company is being held accountable. Sophia's eyes widened as her previous anxieties and suspicions suddenly took on a tangible reality. What do you mean? Were you involved in this? Her voice carried both shock and deep disappointment. Nathan shook his head with a pained expression. No, I wasn't directly involved. But. He trailed off, lowering his eyes. But. Sophia inhaled sharply, her heart pounding as she imagined the worst. I was indirectly involved. And there's something I must protect. It's important for this town. Nathan spoke quietly yet with determination. His eyes held both turmoil and a strong will to protect something. Sophia was overwhelmed, a mix of anger and anxiety engulfing her. What do you mean? Explain it to me. And what are you trying to protect? Why? Don't you realize Maya is here? Did you think about her? Of course, I did. But their voices grew louder. Maya, hearing her parents' exchange, became even more frightened. Seeing her reaction, Nathan rushed over and embraced her tightly. I'm sorry, Maya. Daddy has to leave for a while, but I promise I'll come back. Daddy, don't go. Maya pleaded in a small voice, filled with the fear that something might be irretrievably lost. I'm really sorry. Nathan's voice trembled with tears. Sophia felt almost detached from the reality unfolding before her. Nathan, what are you talking about? Why do you have to run away? Nathan sighed deeply, choosing his words carefully. There's a problem I need to resolve. If I mess this up, the whole town could fall apart. It's also connected to Maya's medical expenses. Sophia approached her husband, her emotions a tumultuous mix of confusion and anger. Why didn't you consult with me? We could have found a solution together. Her voice was laden with betrayed sadness and a fierce desire to protect her family. Nathan answered, clutching his head. I didn't want to expose you to danger. This issue is more serious than you can imagine, and many people are involved. His voice carried both regret and a resolute will to protect. But you've put us all in danger now. Sophia's voice trembled. Tears filled her eyes, a mix of anger, sadness, and fear apparent. Maya, frightened by her parents' heated discussion, whispered in a tiny voice. Is it because of me? Because of my illness. Her parents immediately snapped out of their argument and rushed to her side. No, Maya. This isn't your fault at all. Sophia stated firmly. She hugged her daughter, struggling to control her own emotions. Nathan agreed. That's right. This is all my responsibility. Maya, you've done nothing wrong. His voice conveyed deep love for his daughter and regret for the consequences of his actions. That night, the family spent their last moments together. Nathan read Maya's favorite storybook, and Sophia played a nostalgic piece on the piano with him. In the quiet of the night, they felt the bond of their family, facing an uncertain future. In the early hours, as Nathan packed his bags, Maya woke up and entered the room. Daddy, take this. She offered her cherished penguin stuffed animal. Mr. Mark will protect you. Nathan was lost for words, overcome with emotion, and hugged his daughter tightly. Thank you, Maya. I'll keep it close. Tears glistened in his eyes. Before dawn, Sophia sensed Nathan quietly leaving the house but couldn't bring herself to stop him. Overwhelmed by uncertainty and anxiety, she curled up in bed, unable to comprehend what to do next. The next morning, the town plunged into chaos. News of the illegal activities at the fishing company and Nathan's disappearance spread rapidly. Sophia and Maya found themselves at the center of a sudden storm. The townspeople's glares turned cold, their once friendly demeanor completely altered. That family might cost us our jobs. There's no way the president's wife didn't know. She must be an accomplice. Such accusations began to echo throughout the town. Despite being hurt by these words, Sophia was determined to stay strong for Maya. It became difficult for her to attend the music school as parents began to avoid her. Maya also started to feel isolated at school. One day, Maya returned home from school in tears. Mommy, everyone hates me. Her voice shook, and her eyes were filled with large tears. Sophia hugged her daughter tightly. It's okay, Maya. We'll get through this together. She soothed her daughter's hair gently, reassuring herself as much as Maya. And with a fierce resolve not to let her precious daughter suffer any more, Sophia made a decision for both their sakes. After Maya had cried herself to sleep, Sophia stood by the living room window, staring out at the dark sea. The moonlight flickering on the waves seemed to mirror the turmoil in her heart. Her fingertips touched the cold glass, solidifying her resolve. Enough is enough. I'll solve this. Her eyes held a new resolve, along with signs of fatigue. The next morning, Sophia got up early and spread out a map and an old notebook on the kitchen table. Her fingers traced over the map, checking the last place Nathan was seen. She was so focused that she didn't notice her coffee growing cold. First, she headed to the town's library. She meticulously researched old newspaper articles and town records, gathering information about the history of the fishing industry and recent events. Despite the librarian's curious stares, Sophia persisted in her investigation. Next, Sophia visited former colleagues of Nathan's company. Many tried to avoid her, but some gradually opened up, moved by her sincere demeanor and determined gaze. Nathan had been sighing a lot lately, one former employee whispered. He seemed like he was carrying something significant. Another employee said with a frightened look. There were suspicious entries in the company's books. But I was too scared to dig any deeper. Sophia slowly pieced together these fragments of information. Late into the night, she organized the gathered data in her home study and placed pins on the wall-mounted map. Red threads connected the pins, gradually forming a complex web. At times, the investigation put her in danger. One day, while examining a warehouse at the port, she was chased by someone. Her heart pounding, she dashed through dark alleys and managed to escape. Despite such experiences, Sophia's resolve did not waver. Every night, seeing Maya asleep, she reaffirmed her mission. For you, and for our town, I will uncover the truth, Sophia whispered to her sleeping daughter. Gradually, the full picture of the truth began to emerge. In the process, Sophia made a startling discovery. Influential figures in the town were involved behind the illegal activities. They had resorted to unlawful means to protect the declining fishing industry. Simultaneously, the issue of Maya's medical expenses also came to light. Nathan had received significant donations for his daughter's treatment, but the source of the funds was problematic. Sophia sat in her home study, frowning at the stack of documents in front of her. Her fingertips traced over Nathan's financial records. There were deposits of amounts that couldn't be explained by his salary or investment returns alone. Her eyes moved between Maya's medical bills and the mysterious deposit records. A wave of anxiety spread through Sophia. She sank deeply into her chair and sighed heavily. What on earth? She murmured softly. Sophia carefully picked up her cell phone and called Maya's primary doctor. Dr. Johnson, I'd like to ask about Maya's treatment expenses. Her voice was tinged with concern. On the other end, the doctor answered cautiously. Yes, Mrs. Blake, regarding Maya's treatment expenses, indeed. Special arrangements have been made. We've received a substantial donation from the town's Fisheries Development Fund. This fund, as part of its community contribution, also supports medical needs. The doctor's voice lowered slightly. Actually, I haven't been informed much about the details of this donation. But it's certain that your husband was deeply involved. A wave of anxiety washed over Sophia. The Fisheries Development Fund. It was a crucial organization supporting the town's economy. But why were they funding Maya's treatment? And why hadn't Nathan told her anything? Understood, thank you. Sophia quietly ended the call. She started to review the documents again. Indeed, the source of the deposits was the Fisheries Development Fund. But behind it, names of town's influential figures loomed. There seemed to be something yet to be uncovered. Sophia, gazing at Maya's sleeping face, firmed her resolve. For your treatment, and for our town, I must get to the bottom of where this money is coming from. She felt the next challenge was to understand Nathan's true intentions and unravel the relationship between the Fisheries Development Fund and the town's influential figures. Was this merely a benevolent donation? Or was something more sinister hidden in the town's shadows? Sophia's quest was moving into a new phase. And this discovery brought complex emotions. She couldn't fully understand her husband's actions. But she knew he had been trying to protect the town and his family. However, his methods might have been flawed. Sophia's heart oscillated between understanding and condemnation. One day, Sophia received an anonymous letter. It contained information about the last place Nathan was seen. She hesitated but decided to visit the location to discover the truth. When she arrived, she found clues Nathan had left behind. These included a savings book for Maya's treatment expenses and letters to Sophia and Maya. The letters explained that Nathan had initially been trying to protect certain people, realized his mistake, was gathering evidence to expose the truth, and did not want to burden his family. Sophia cried as she felt Nathan's determination and love. She stared out the window at the turbulent sea. Like the waves, her heart was in turmoil. But she knew she had to be a lighthouse for her family and the town through this storm. After days of contemplation, Sophia decided to take action. She contacted Sarah Johnson, a trusted friend and local attorney who had always been supportive in times of need. They met secretly in a discreet cafe and Sophia explained the situation. Seated at a corner table, Sophia spoke in a low voice. "Sarah, I need help." Nathan was. She looked around before continuing. "Involved in illegal fishing. But he's trying to protect someone." Sarah listened intently, concern evident in her eyes. "This is a very dangerous situation," she said. "But I will do everything I can to support you and the town." Relieved by Sarah's words yet newly aware of the gravity of the situation, Sophia felt a chill of fear. With Sarah's advice, she began gathering evidence suggesting the involvement of town's powerful figures while ensuring Maya's safety by temporarily placing her with relatives outside the town. "Mommy, I want to stay with you," Maya pleaded tearfully, clutching Sophia's shirt tightly. Sophia hugged her daughter tightly, feeling a heart-wrenching pain. "I understand, Maya. I want to be with you too. But there are things I must do. And your safety is the most important, please understand." As Sophia bid farewell to Maya that morning, she kissed her daughter's cheek while struggling to hold back her tears. "I'll come to see you soon. Until then, listen to Grandma, okay?" After Maya left town, Sophia started her investigation in earnest. She reconnected with former employees of the fisheries company and local fishermen to gather information. She spent nights poring over documents and days walking around the town conducting interviews. Through this process, she began to understand the depth of the town's darkness. As Sophia's investigation progressed, the hidden troubles under the town's superficial tranquility began to surface. Initially, it was just rumors and fragmented information. But soon these pieces connected to form a larger picture. One day, she discovered an article in a stack of old newspapers. about a sudden increase in fish catch from 10 years ago, which coincided with a sudden boost in the town's economy. However, there was no legitimate explanation for this increase. Delving deeper into the financial records of the fisheries company, she uncovered unnatural cash flows. Officially, these were donations to charitable projects, but many of the transfers went to non-existent organizations or companies linked to influential people in the town. Council meeting minutes revealed a gradual relaxation of environmental regulations. Behind these decisions were always the same group of council members. In secretive meetings with port workers, she uncovered rumors of suspicious cargo movements at night and inflated fish catch reports. Their voices trembled with fear, all saying, "We just turn a blind eye." Most shockingly, the charity fund that had been supporting Maya's medical expenses turned out to be a front for illegal money laundering. This discovery made Sophia feel violently ill. As these facts piled up, a whirlwind of fear and anger stormed through Sophia. Many people she had loved and trusted in her town were involved in this massive corruption, the scale and depth of which exceeded her worst fears. However, she also understood that exposing this truth was the only way to truly save her town. A firm resolve grew within her. One evening, Sophia quietly walked through the town's old harbor area. A few days earlier, a former colleague of Nathan's had informed her that important documents were stored in an old fisheries warehouse. As she approached the warehouse, Sophia's heart began to beat like a drum. She cautiously moved closer to the old wooden building. A rusted padlock sealed the door, but Sophia had brought bolt cutters, prepared for this moment. "This is the last resort," she muttered to herself, her hands trembling as she tackled the padlock. After a few minutes of struggle, the lock clicked open. Sophia cautiously opened the door and stepped inside, using the flashlight on her phone to navigate. The inside of the warehouse was cluttered with old fishing gear and wooden crates. Following the informant's directions, she moved towards the back wall where an aged filing cabinet stood. Wearing gloves, Sophia opened the drawers one by one. Most contained old invoices and shipping records, but in the last drawer, her eyes lit up. "This is it," she whispered. An old leather-bound file labeled "Confidential" lay inside. Sophia quickly opened it and started examining the contents by the light of her flashlight. It contained details of illegal transactions related to the town's fishing industry and a list of involved parties. Suddenly, she heard a noise outside. Sophia held her breath and turned off her flashlight. Footsteps approached. She quickly hid the file inside her jacket and looked for a hiding spot. Her heart racing, Sophia ducked behind old wooden crates as footsteps entered the warehouse, and a flashlight beam swept through the interior. "What are you doing here?" A man's deep voice came from behind her. Turning around, Sophia saw George Harrison, a town council member, standing there. His eyes were fixed on the documents Sophia was holding. Sophia's heart pounded, and cold sweat ran down her back. "This is private property. I could have you arrested for trespassing," George threatened, his voice cold yet slightly fearful. Sophia, maintaining her composure, replied, "Mr. Harrison, we need to talk. I know what's happening in this town." She tried hard to keep her voice steady. George's expression clouded for a moment, and Sophia didn't miss the flicker of panic in his eyes. "You don't understand anything. If you care about your safety, you'd better not dig any deeper." After this encounter, Sophia realized that her actions were being noticed. Strange occurrences around her increased. threatening letters were thrown into her mailbox. And unknown cars followed her. One night, Sophia came home to find her windows broken. She was terrified but thought it was right to send Maya away. Yet, the loneliness of being apart from her daughter overwhelmed her. Despite the fear, Sophia continued her investigation, gathering evidence carefully with Sarah's advice and preparing to expose the truth. Meanwhile, the town's situation worsened. The shutdown of the fisheries company led to a spike in unemployment, and public dissatisfaction grew. The once vibrant port town was now shrouded in gloom. One day, a large protest erupted in the town square. Angry residents demanded the truth and accountability. Sophia watched with a heavy heart, knowing their anger and disappointment were also directed at her. During the protest, Sophia gathered the courage to step up to the podium. Her heart pounded and her hands shook, but she felt a need to speak the truth. "Everyone, please listen," she called out, her voice strained. "I have important information about what's happening in our town." The crowd murmured, but they gave her their attention. "My husband, Nathan, indeed made mistakes. But he's also a victim. The root of this issue goes much deeper." As Sophia began to speak, shouts of "Show us proof" and "Liar" rose from the crowd. But undeterred, she continued, "I have evidence, and I'm prepared to submit it to the appropriate authorities. But before I do, you need to know that saving our town requires cooperation from all of us." Sophia's words gradually changed the crowd's attitude. Her courage and determination resonated with them. But just then, a man in the crowd yelled, "Search her house. She's hiding the truth." Amid the ensuing chaos, Sophia was nearly dragged off the stage. She froze in fear and closed her eyes. At that moment, unexpected help arrived. "Stop." At that moment, a strong voice echoed through the venue. As the crowd turned around, there stood Nathan. His expression was weary, but his eyes held a firm determination. "I will take full responsibility," Nathan declared. "And I will reveal the truth." The sudden appearance of Nathan silenced the square. Sophia, seeing her husband, was overwhelmed by a mix of relief and anxiety. Tears filled her eyes, and her voice trembled as she called out his name. "Nathan." The venue buzzed again with Nathan's unexpected return. As he slowly made his way to the stage, Sophia watched him with a mixture of surprise and relief. The mayor quickly handed him the microphone, and Nathan took a deep breath before beginning to speak. His voice was shaky at first, but grew steadier and stronger. "Thank you for waiting, everyone. Today, I stand here to reveal all the truths." The venue fell silent, all eyes fixed on Nathan. "I discovered the existence of long-standing illegal activities. However, the full extent is beyond what you can imagine." Nathan slowly but surely began to expose the large-scale corruption involving influential figures in the town. Illegal fishing activities, money laundering, and environmental destruction, all were done under the guise of protecting the town's economy. From what I've learned, these illegal activities have been going on for more than a decade. Initially, they were minor, but gradually escalated. Unknowingly, my company was involved too, and not realizing it sooner was my fault. Nathan listed specific names, dates, and details of transactions. Occasional gasps of shock rose from the venue. Many people felt the town they knew crumbling before their eyes. When I became aware of these truths, I felt both terrified and responsible. I even thought about protecting those involved because revealing this would destroy our town. But I realized that was wrong. My hiding was to gather evidence and fully expose everything. he explained, showing each piece of evidence he had gathered, including documents Sophia had found in the warehouse. I acted for the sake of this town and all its residents. It wasn't the easiest path, but I believed revealing the truth was necessary for our future. Nathan's voice carried a mix of regret and determination. He concluded by bowing to the townspeople. I deeply apologize for any trouble my actions have caused. However, what comes next is crucial. We need to accept this truth and work together to build a new, honest, and fair town. Allow me to speak as well. Sophia stepped forward, sharing her own findings. The documents and testimonies she discovered supported Nathan's claims. Her voice was calm, but her eyes conveyed a resolute determination. We love this town. That's why we need to uncover the truth and start anew. Sophia appealed to the audience. The venue was abuzz again, but this time the anger was mixed with surprise and a glimmer of hope. Sophia stood next to her husband, holding his hand firmly. Ahead of them lay a long and challenging road, but now, with the truth revealed, they were ready to start working towards the town's recovery. Following the event, the issue escalated, and local police got involved. This led to a large-scale investigation, rapidly unfolding. Many town influencers were arrested, and the full extent of the long-standing corruption was unveiled. Nathan was also prosecuted but received a relatively lenient sentence due to his cooperation and the courage to uncover the truth. Leaving the courthouse, he grasped Sophia's hand tightly. I couldn't have made it this far without your support. He looked at his wife with gratitude. Sophia met his gaze firmly and replied with a gentle smile. We've walked this path together, Nathan. Your courage brought the truth to this town. She paused, taking a deep breath, then continued with a voice full of resolve. Now begins the real work. We must transform this town into a place that is honest and fair for the future of Maya and all our children. Nathan nodded strongly in agreement. However, the town's problems were far from over. The collapse of the fisheries industry had left many people jobless, and the town's economy was in a critical state. Shops closed, and the once vibrant port town was now subdued. The town's recovery was not immediate. In the aftermath of the revelations, the community was mired in deep confusion and mistrust. Many struggled to cope with the shock of their long-held beliefs crumbling. One day, Tom, a fisherman who had worked for Nathan's company, confronted Sophia angrily. What about our lives? Tom shouted, his voice quivering. You've ruined everything for us. Sophia sensed the fear and despair behind Tom's anger. She took a deep breath and replied quietly. Tom, I understand how you feel. We share your anxiety. But I believe we can find a new path together. Your experience and knowledge are invaluable to our town moving forward. Initially skeptical, Tom gradually opened up. Influenced by Sophia's sincere demeanor and the town's strong will to rebuild. So, what can we do? Tom asked, still doubtful. This question sparked a discussion with the former fishermen about sustainable fishing practices. Combining their experience with new environmental technologies, they began to shape a new approach to fishing. Meanwhile, Nathan contributed to the town's recovery even while incarcerated. He started educational programs on environmental protection and sustainable industries in prison and shared his learnings with Sophia through letters. Sophia, I've met various people here and learned a lot, Nathan wrote in his letter. The problems our town faces are actually challenges many regions are dealing with. However, some have already found solutions. I truly believe that we can achieve this too. Every time Sophia read her husband's letters, she found new courage and hope. She incorporated Nathan's learnings into the town's revitalization plans. To break through this situation, Sophia initiated a new project. She proposed an innovative program that integrated music education with environmental conservation. Our town has beautiful nature and a rich culture. We can use these assets to build a new future. Sophia passionately addressed the town council. Her proposal included promoting sustainable fishing practices that consider the environment, developing ecotourism, and using music and arts to rejuvenate the community. Her eyes sparkled with hope for a new vision of the town. As she finished speaking, a small applause broke the momentary silence. From the audience, Elizabeth Fisher stood up. She had met Sophia previously at the town's restaurant, Ocean's Harvest. "Sophia, that's a wonderful proposal," Elizabeth exclaimed loudly. "As the Tourism Bureau, we would like to fully support this program." Sophia's face lit up with both nostalgia and joy. "Thank you, Elizabeth." After the meeting, they instinctively headed to Ocean's Harvest. Sitting at the same windowside table they had once shared, they continued their conversation in an atmosphere mixed with reminiscence and new hope. "That day at the restaurant, I felt this town had great potential," Elizabeth reminisced with a gentle smile. "And yet, it went through such tough times. But now, you are turning that potential into reality. I want to be a part of that." Sophia responded gratefully. "Elizabeth, to think that our conversation that day has led to this. It feels like a serendipitous connection." Over time, the two met frequently at the restaurant to refine the program's details. Elizabeth's knowledge of tourism and Sophia's musical talent fused to create a unique ecotourism plan. "How about this, Sophia?" Elizabeth suggested one day while perusing the menu. "Like the fresh fish dishes here, can we combine the bounty of the sea with music? Maybe a seaside music festival?" Sophia's eyes lit up. "That's a brilliant idea. We can work with local fishermen and also educate about sustainable fishing during the event." Their collaboration grew into a deep friendship, transcending mere business relations. Elizabeth became a trusted confidant for Sophia and occasionally helped look after Maya. This new bond gave Sophia even more strength. She felt supported, not alone, and realized that people in the town shared and supported her vision. With Elizabeth's support, Sophia's new initiatives began. Initially skeptical, people gradually warmed up to her enthusiasm, especially the younger generation who resonated with this fresh vision. Maya returned to town and wholeheartedly supported her mother's projects. "Mom's music has the power to heal hearts and inspire hope," Maya confidently stated. Her eyes brimmed with respect and love for her mother. Sophia's planned Seaside Music Festival brought new life to the town. A special stage was set up along the coast where local musicians' performances blended with the sounds of the waves. Environmental conservation booths provided fun learning about the marine ecosystem for children. Stalls using sustainably caught seafood were a hit, fostering interactions between tourists and locals. At the festival's climax, Sophia herself played the piano. Her beautiful melodies captivated the entire audience. With the success of the event, the town took a new step forward as an eco-friendly tourist destination. As time passed, the town gradually changed. A new form of fishing industry that didn't rely on illegal practices began to emerge. Along the coast, environmentally conscious aquaculture projects started, with many young people actively participating. The number of tourists began to increase, bringing new vitality to the town. Music festivals and environmental protection events became regular occurrences, and Sophia's town became known as the town harmonious with culture and nature. Finally, Nathan returned from his sentence. The people of the town welcomed him warmly. His mistakes were unforgivable, but his courage to reveal the truth and contribute to the town's rejuvenation was recognized. "Welcome back," many people said, and Nathan nodded with tears in his eyes. Years later, the town had started walking the path of sustainable development. One day, Sophia and Nathan visited the hospital for Maya's regular checkup. As they entered the examination room, Dr. Johnson greeted them with a cheerful expression. "I have great news," he said. "Please look at Maya's latest test results." While showing the images on the screen, Dr. Johnson continued his explanation. "As you can see, Maya's heart condition has significantly improved. The treatments we've been doing are having better effects than expected." Sophia and Nathan showed expressions of joy and relief. "Is this really true?" Sophia asked tearfully. "Yes." Dr. Johnson nodded. "Furthermore, thanks to the town's new medical support program, most of the future treatment costs will be covered. A portion of the proceeds from ecotourism is being allocated to this program." Nathan squeezed Sophia's hand tightly. "Your efforts being rewarded like this." As they left the examination room, Maya was energetically reading a book in the waiting room. Seeing her parents, she ran up to hug them. "Mom, Dad. Today, I managed to run up the stairs," Maya reported happily. Sophia hugged her daughter, holding back tears. The strength she felt in Maya's body was incomparable to a few years ago. On the way home from the hospital, the family of 3 walked along the beach, quietly discussing the future, Maya's health, the town's development, and their own lives. Everything was filled with new hope. Watching Maya pick up seashells by the shore, Sophia whispered to herself, "This was all worth fighting for." Then, turning to Nathan, who was smiling gently, she said, "We've come a long way, haven't we?" Her voice was filled with pride and gratitude. Nathan nodded. "Yes, we have. But this isn't the end. It's a new beginning." His eyes sparkled with hope for the future. "Mom. Dad. Look. I found a beautiful seashell." Maya ran up to them excitedly. "Oh, it really is beautiful." "Indeed, it's wonderful." The 3 of them stood together, gazing at the shimmering sea. Their story demonstrated that people could build a new future by acknowledging mistakes, facing the truth, and through forgiveness and reconciliation. Their challenges would continue, but this town and its people had acquired the courage and wisdom to face any adversity. Their story would be passed down to the next generation, serving as a beacon of hope for a sustainable future.